Right, so we're going to have to understand how or what these individual files created by Django, when we created our files, or what are they actually used for. So let's get back to our Django project in our PyCharm. Then when you observe this after you did create your project, you can see that a couple of files were created. Now the major ones we have to pay attention to includes the settings, which has contained in it basic configurations required for your platform or your app to run successfully. You have your URLs. This is responsible for the endpoint, what we call endpoints, or like your normal URLs that is used to access a request, or that's used to access a resource from your server. So this is what routes the server to a particular process. Now we would want to create a project, an app. First off, this folder is seen as your project main folder. However, sometimes you might want to have other functionalities. Django makes it in such a way that you have the leverage to split different functionalities into what we call apps. So the project, as in this folder, which has the main project files, then within this main folder we can also have other apps. Let's say we want to work on a blog site. Over the next few sections, we are going to have to create a pages app. And to create an app, you run python manage.py start app pages. So you can see it takes a little some seconds, and then bingo, you have your pages created. And then this pages has in it some other files that you would want to understand. Now these views is where you're rendering or doing the major app logic. These views is also responsible for rendering a page or returning responses. Now we are expected to include our URLs, and these URLs is used to access a resource. It is through these URLs that it will direct the request to the views that's responsible for handling the processing. Remember, we met URLs here, but the URLs on this project file are to distribute requests to across different apps that you have, in case you have multiple apps. So to do that, however, we need to include the URL for this app. But before then, we need to tell Django that, look, I created an app, and to do that, we need to register the app here. Let's say created apps. Now it's pages. You can leave it this way, but for better professionalism, you call it pages.apps.appconfig, which is actually from here. You call this class, right? Now with this, Django is informed that, okay, I have an app to work with. So we can comfortably come to this project URL file and include, where do we want our pages URL to be accessed. Let's have it as pages this way. Then we're expected to provide the function or the app that we want to include its URLs, and in our case, pages. So let's go ahead and import Django URLs include So with this, every URL I have inside here will be included in the project's main URLs. Let's have a comma here. Then with this, I can go ahead to actually have my URLs created here. However, remember that your URLs is used to route requests to the view which handles the processing. So it means or tells us that we actually need to create a view first. So we're going to create a very simple view. Let's call it, and views come in form of classes or functions. So let's have a very simple view, call it home page view. So inherit request from, then we render, and we, for now, let's return HTTP response, then hello, this is my, so with this we can go ahead to route or to have this as a URL patterns, and we call it home, right? Or before then, you need to have your path. Let's call the path, and then the name, the the then you call the function home page view, then you give it its name. Don't forget to have this name included. Let's import this part from Django URLs. With this, let's see, we'll go back to, let's restart this server. Okay, we're having an error. Included URL confirmatory pages does not appear to have any patterns in it. Okay, so this is our pages. Okay, this is meant to be pages dot urls, please, so that I properly reference the file. Now you can see that we can see a response from here. Let's check our pages and home. So we have an error. Says string object has no attribute makefile. I think what is importing the wrong, so importing the wrong response. Having had our pages, so this isn't meant to, this is not the HTTP response we want. This is actually the HTTP response, that of Django HTTP response. So with this, we do not see any warning. you can see hello, this is my first Django view, which confirms that our code is working. Now this tells you that when you need to make any project processing, you're to handle that within your view. And what actually tells or sends your request to your view are the URLs. So the URL or the request comes into the project file folder and then is accessed through these URLs. So depending on what you've requested for, remember that here we requested for this, there's pages here. So it accesses, checks this and checks this, it finds pages, then it goes to check through all the included URLs within the pages app. So the only URL within the pages app is home. So it takes the pages from the other side and then appends it to this home. And with that, it's able to now call this function view, home page view, and then we're returning an HTTP response. Hello, this is my first Django view. I hope you got that right too. And if you encounter any challenge, remember that there is no harm asking questions. Having done that, we've seen the map, how the URL connects, the project URL connects to the app URL and then goes to the views, which now returns the response. So go quickly answer the question and get right back. So for your capstone project, I expect you to build your own home. What we've just done, replicate it, build it, put the code away, and do this yourself. Customize the homepage view and tell us a little more about yourself within the HTTP response and why you're learning to code. So in the next section, we're going to look or explore or rather include an about page for our website, and we're going to have to add HTML tags. We're going to have to also try to do some other things. Congratulations. See you in the next section. Do well to share your progress with the community.